welcome to East Coast DNA. I'm your host, Darcy Walsh, and today's guests, we have Absolute Losers. Now, that's no offense to the people on the screen. That's the actual band name. So, first of all, Sam, I think it was you that I had been talking to leading up to this interview. So, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having us on.
You're definitely a band that was on my radar. I know that you've been through my hometown. I think you played at Shoebox Cantina at some point.
Yeah, we did in December, I think.
Yeah, okay. And I do recall too about probably close to a year ago, you had a couple videos out that had like the camera was like a different lens, like it was like a
Yeah.
aerial view in the room you were in. I don't.
Oh, yeah, like the thing at Howie's, probably. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that effect you were doing there?
It's basically, I think it's a GoPro with like a 360
Okay,
lens on it. There's this jam space kind of studio in Charlottetown called Howie's,
okay,
and yeah, he's starting to do this video series that's basically just inviting bands to come and play, and he just sets a camera in the middle and records it.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that. And those were your first singles, were they?
Actually, we did do Coexist. Yeah, we did one of our first singles. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
which is funny because they were like 2 years old at that point.
oh, okay. Okay,
And
because I did think when I was going through to get a little heavier research behind you guys before I sat with you, I did when I saw that the album's your debut album, I'm like, I thought they were around longer than that. I would have thought there was another album out there, but it's just you have been around as a band for a little bit longer than the album itself, anyway.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Sam, with you there, you have Josh and Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is there a relationship, you and Josh, brothers?
Yeah, we're brothers. So
Brothers?
we've been playing music our whole life. So yeah, this
Okay.
where it's like you say we've been doing it a while. It's like there's no real start point for this band, I don't think.
At
Yeah.
what point does Daniel get into the mix then if you're brothers playing together?
Probably high school.
Yeah.
We met in a high school musical pit band for my grade 10, Sam's grade 11 high school production, like musical production. We were in like the band formation that we're in now, just under the stage, and we were like, oh, this is pretty cool. I think we could really do something with this, and yeah, that's how I became brothers from another mother with these guys.
Yeah.
And when you guys started playing off, did you already have some songs as the brothers duo that
Oh,
you brought to the table?
instantly we had, nah, I shouldn't say, but as soon as Daniel joined, we'd already like had like probably like 5 songs. And we've been looking for a drummer for a while. And actually, our good buddy Connor was playing drums with us for some time anyway. And then he went to school in Toronto, so he was gone. So we were looking for a drummer again. And Daniel came pretty soon after that.
And the sound behind Absolute Losers, it definitely there's a few bands active in Eastern Canada right now that would fall into like kind of a 90s sound. Um, Picking up a little bit maybe of some Joel Plaskett influence, maybe. I don't know. This might be a little bit more of a stretch, depending on if it is something you're into or not. The Inbreds, you ever into them at
Oh
all?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of got a little. If you kind of smush those two sounds together, that's kind of what I was getting from the overall Absolute Loser sound. So, are you guys influenced by the '90s East Coast sound?
Oh yeah,
Hugely,
yeah.
I'd say. From the beginning, when we started as a band, when we had like this more dark undertone to it, until now, I think the almost nothing has done like a bigger number on our like music in terms of like influence than like that scene. Like I'd say like Sloan and Tons and the Inbreds and Super Friendz and Flashing Lights. All those bands definitely informed us a lot musically and like just songwriting wise.
Mhm.
I think it's fair to say we're all like diehard Sloan fans since the start, since childhood. So
Yep.
It's funny that you mentioned Joel Plaskett because I remember that was one show when they played here. Him and the Emergency for like the Scrappy Happiness tour, I think.
Mhm.
Josh and I went to see that at the Confen Center, which is like the huge theater here, when I was like 10, and that was definitely a transformative concert.
It was the same for Sloan. They played the same place.
Same deal. Like
a couple years before that. I've been a Sloan fan for my entire life because my cousin Andrew Murray has been in a bunch of cool bands. But he was big into Sloan. So was my dad. So it's a bit of a family favorite band.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Like I said, I am seeing those influences come through in some of the up and coming bands in the region. So it's nice to see. I am finding out a lot, like you mentioned at the last there, your dad was a fan. I am finding a lot that it is a generational thing, that there's a lot of people that's the kids are your age now. So now that you're adults, you're starting to play the stuff you were exposed to. So
and they're still doing it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Still putting out albums and stuff.
Yeah, they still play like Money City Maniacs at hockey games and stuff. Like I think they're like the next like Rush or something.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, not everybody loves Rush, but the next
everyone knows
the next tragically hip, I should say.
Yeah. And you had mentioned Tons. Did you guys were you over here to perform with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Halifax, right?
Yeah, we did 3 shows with Tons, which was unreal. One here at the Trailside, and then at the Tide and Boar, and then at the Marquee. So it's fun to learn those names because like Mike O'Neill from the Inbreds is in that band, and like we became fast friends with him, and like all the guys. Like we share
really cool.
We all share really similar tastes.
We're a very similar band to them, like guitar, bass, drums, trio. We all sing, so it was pretty cool because you don't often get to play a show with a band that you're so like just so you understand them. You know what I mean? Like you do, kind of.
Yeah, very compatible.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the other day that like when this podcast started, we were just starting to get out of lockdowns and everything, so it was really covering the reemergence of a scene. But now 2 years in, there's so many options to catch live music right now. At first I was really happy to get out and see lineups that were crossing genres, and there's definitely a lot of bands out there that are blending genres within their own sound. But I do think, and maybe I'll revise this opinion in the near future, but I've noticed this summer with so many options going out to catch bands, I do like when they're grouped together a little bit more as a package, that not even necessarily the same genre or sound, but kind of like you said, like organically the bands kind of feel like they fit together. It just gives a better experience for an evening as a package, right? So it's awesome to see that you guys get your foot in the door right away. But I am curious, and maybe you don't have a simple answer to this, so we'll see where you go with it. But how were you able to get a gig like that when you didn't even have your first album out?
I got us that gig by going to the Sloan show that happened in Summerside.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like Chris Murphy, the bassist and singer, is always really good to like go out and like sell merch himself and talk to people for as long as they want, and he'll stay there to the very end. So I kind of just floated around until the end, and then I started asking about Tons because I was already a fan of them. Mm-hmm. I just wanted them to come to PEI, and I said, if you ever do, like, I got on my hands and knees and just said, please book our band, or at least check us out. So yeah, that was it. And then I think he just kind of liked us as people. And
you sent him the album, right?
Yeah,
before it was released.
I did send him the album. That would help.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it immediately can pick out some influences. It's not exactly the same, but you can tell that you were listening to some of those sounds. So yeah. I could see where he would probably pick up on the same thing. It's probably even quicker than myself. Chris Murphy himself, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true. I'd love to actually get him for a few seconds to ask him, but I've heard rumors that he has cataloged or documented like all the connections between all the bands from that era, and maybe even maintained it over the years. So I would love to see that type of thing where it's all like a family tree of the East Coast music scene and how it's spread. It'd be really, really cool to see. But yeah, I'm sure someone like that that's into that type of thing, he's probably picking up on those influences right away.
Mhm.
And so now you mentioned you sent him the album in advance. It's been a couple weeks now since you've released your debut album.
Yeah, I think it's been 2.5 weeks. Maybe.
Okay. So At the Mall is the name of the album. It's
is.
also the name of one of the singles from the album because you have the title track on that. So I did see that you released like 3-4 singles from that album leading up to the release. So were those things that were already recorded and you knew the full album was coming out, or those were just things that you're releasing as you went along and then you fleshed out a full album in between?
Those were like the singles leading up to At the Mall were all just part of the album, completely done already. And we just kind of handpicked the ones that we thought best represented different aspects of our band and our sound, and just like different songs that we've written over the years with the band. And I think in all the singles, there's songs from like 3 years ago. There's just probably a song from 3 years ago. There's a song from last year that we wrote, and there's probably a song from 2 years ago. That's just how I went about thinking about that anyway.
So does that mean that now that that album's been out, that you guys already have new songs for a future album?
Yeah. There's like half of the next album written, probably.
Probably like
Awesome.
5 or 6 pretty much complete songs.
They might not all make the cut, but like we definitely got a good start on it for sure. Yeah.
And so the live shows, I imagine you're highlighting a lot of the new album, but it's just the fans that are going to the shows, are they getting some of the new material slipped in there as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're always most excited to play the new stuff, and it's not like we're a band with hits. It's not like you don't want to see your favorite band and they got to play the hits. Like people may know our songs, but it's not like, I don't think we're going to disappoint them with playing what we're most into, because I think we have most fun doing that. It just comes out as a better show.
Yeah,
and it makes the songs better if we play them live more and more before like getting a definitive version down. That's what this whole album At the Mall was. It was just like from the start of our like live, like the start of us playing live really was when these songs started to be written, and from then to now it was like we just kind of fleshed the songs out as like perfect as we could, and that was just kind of our early life as a band to now. That's what that album is for us. And yeah, that just playing songs live as much as possible really gives you feedback. Sometimes you can just tell, yeah, they're not into this. Maybe we'll change that. Maybe we'll make this shorter so that there's more for them to like, or like it helps a lot with just like making the overall product just better and better and better.
And when you did get to the point to start releasing singles, like, as a strategy leading to the album, I'd see you used the same person for your artwork for all of the covers, so it kind of has the same kind of feel all the way through. So is that somebody that you guys knew you needed album artwork and went out and found somebody, or is that somebody you had a previous connection with?
I actually lived with him for a little bit. I moved into his house with him as his partner. But I think he posted something on Instagram, like a story of some art he was doing, and it caught Sam's eye, and he sent it to me. He's like, "This would be a cool album cover," and I was like, "Yeah," and like Daniel liked it too, and we said, "Brandon, like, can we use this as our album cover?" And he's like, "No, man. No, I'll make something better."
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So it was the original post was a very similar style, but there was a lot of back and forth with us and Brandon kind of fleshing out the visual aspect of the album.
Yeah.
Super, super great experience.
I think he did a fantastic job. Like, he's such a talented artist. He's creative. He doesn't focus too much on the rules. Like, he doesn't care about anything but the art. Like,
yeah, a little outside the box is always good, especially in the music world, right? Because you have to set yourself a little bit outside the pack so you can stand out a little bit. But I wanted to mention the artwork specifically because that really jumps out, especially like going into like a Bandcamp page or even on Spotify. because it's a little different style. You see the Art Deco style a lot with like tour posters and like one-off concert posters and stuff with lithographs and all that type of thing. But his style is just a little bit different. It's almost like the like safety posters and stuff you see like on airplanes and everything like that. So
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what my brain's doing. Is like that's something important. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Absolute Losers have a new single. That is important.
Yeah, we did that on purpose. It's brainwash. But
Yeah.
I think we're both in like the same mindset where we just wanted something really simple and really like minimal, but very like punchy and could catch the eye, like interest them a little bit.
You would definitely nailed it there. Now, it also on the visual element, and I had mentioned like some of the earlier videos I had seen, but you have videos to go along with all the singles so far?
We have a couple live videos that we did at Howie's actually, and I have 2 like official music videos.
And now the live ones, I believe that's where I saw. Was there like a Halloween show or something?
Oh, that was something else actually.
Yeah.
That was a Halloween show, which we didn't really mention. That's why we're wearing hard hats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an all ages show. That was really fun because like in the video you can see like our little brother and sister there and people dancing around. And that was fun.
It was a fun time. Cool. It was like probably 2 years ago actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was in this place in our hometown, Stratford, PEI, and it's actually burned down now. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Historical archive. It's just thinking like 5 years or something. When you look back, it's going to seem like that video was made like 20 years ago or something. Yeah. We're used to it not being there.
Yeah.
And with the video content, I saw in some of the notes there that you worked with House Front. So we've had Null on the podcast here before.
So sick.
They're unbelievable.
So you would have been doing some video work with, probably the audio with Kyle and Jesse.
Yeah, they played that show Null, and they were and they worked for House Front, so they did the whole sound and video and everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I always love to see when if I see their names on something that they had their fingers in it, I know that it's good quality coming out of whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see their names down there in the notes when I was going through your stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Because you guys are probably not too far proximity wise as far as like going around playing shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
PEI is a big like a lot of the shows are just kind of a mix match of bands. I don't think we've played with Null.
No, we've never played with Null.
But they'll play with like pop bands or whatever. Like
yeah,
the scene is pretty interconnected. We're too small to be divided. You know?
It's getting bigger. There's a lot of good bands coming up.
There are
a lot.
There's a ton that I'm seeing from PEI, and this is just in my narrow perspective, I guess. I interview a lot of Nova Scotia bands and musicians because I'm located in Nova Scotia, so it makes sense organically. Those are the people I'd run across more often. Yeah. But I am noticing a lot of stuff from the other provinces, but with PEI specifically, I do notice that the PEI bands like yourself seem to be quicker to be able to get off of PEI and play shows like in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, as opposed to bands from Nova Scotia, maybe a little less so New Brunswick, but it seems to be harder to get out of their own home region.
Yeah.
But with PEI artists, I don't know if it's because you have a smaller home base, so you have to go somewhere else, but it does seem like, I don't want to say you have an easier time doing it, but I do see that it seems to be more efficient for indie artists from PEI to make it elsewhere on the East Coast. Like, would you guys share that? You're nodding a little bit, but is that accurate from your point of view?
Totally accurate.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
It's definitely like an essential that you have to eventually inevitably get off and play. And
it's really fun too.
Yeah, besides the bridge toll, it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that scares away bands from coming here, but that's just a part of PEI life.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up with it, so like, the bridge it is what it is. You pay it, and then you forget about it. It's like
I've actually now this is interesting from another perspective then, because I've always been in Nova Scotia,
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation off when I wasn't recording with other musicians from around here and everything. And we really do on this side. And I am going to speak for Nova Scotians. If somebody has a problem with it, send me an email or something. As far as going to Prince Edward Island on vacation or to catch a show or to do a tour date, like you have a gig or something, we do have that feeling that like, oh, we can get over there for free, but they're going to nail me on the way back.
Yeah.
And I did have that perspective conversation with somebody
yeah.
that like, I almost wish they'd charge us on the way over.
Yeah, while you're excited.
Like just so we get the expense out of the way and you can relax the rest of the time you're there. Like you're not
Yeah.
thinking like, before I fill the gas tank, do I have enough to get off the island?
Yeah, it's like paying for your meal before you eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. Maybe all of us over here could just be a little smarter and put the money aside.
Yeah.
No,
Probably
Or it
wouldn't
could
hurt.
be free. That too.
It could be like $5 whole. Like they're still gonna make a lot.
If it
of
was,
money.
yeah, if it was cheaper, probably we'd
Oh,
all be
maybe.
going back and forth. Like I'm 15-minute drive from the ferry.
Yeah.
If it was cheaper, I mean, no, I understand why it's expensive, but if it was cheaper, I'd probably be in PEI 3 or
Yeah.
4 times over the summer at least, especially like I said, with all the shows happening.
Mm.
So you guys do have a lot of connections early on in your music career, and I do see you playing around a lot. So I'm curious, kind of to pull a little bit more on that whole perspective conversation for the bands that are watching the show and artists that are in those other regions. Do you have any tips for anyone that wants to break into the Prince Edward Island market, that they want to travel over to your province and play?
Oh, well, they can always contact any of us. If
Yeah.
you're listening right now and you want to play on PEI, just message the Losers Instagram or something, and we can help you in some way.
I'm loving it because there's a couple up and coming bands that
Yeah.
would probably fit with you guys that I won't name drop because I'd rather just see it happen than for me
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
spoil it at a conceptual stage.
Even if we can't play it, like we're always happy
Yeah.
to link you up with the person that books the venue or
Playing the right direction.
pointing it, because we want bands here to play too. Like I love when people message up the account and like ask for band recommendations, and
Yep.
all of the bands here we're pretty much buddies with. So like it's great to see them
Yeah.
succeed.
And it's easy to get gigs here. Like if it really is. You can say, hey, like, is this date open? And it's either yes or no within like a day. You know if you can play that
Sweet.
date or not. It's like, I know like booking shows away. Like sometimes it's a hassle. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
like I said, I hear a lot of different perspectives and it can be hairy for some people.
Yeah.
And you guys
Yeah.
have dates coming up.
Yeah, in mid-September and into October, which I'm super stoked.
Yeah.
I did skim through them, and I will be honest, when I was done looking at the list, the only one I remembered is you're playing 5 minutes from my apartment in Glasgow. So
That's
you're
all
coming,
that matters.
you're coming back to Shoebox.
Yeah, we're going back to the Shoebox. It's a wicked venue.
Yeah.
Great
And-
city.
Sweet venue. Yeah.
What about the other dates? Are you hitting all the East Coast provinces?
Yeah, we're doing Moncton at Z-Roz, and then we're doing Fredericton, St. John, Woodstock, and people are putting us up in Woodstock, which is wicked.
Awesome.
And then we're
Canning?
Montreal. We're doing like an in-store to record store. Ottawa, Toronto, back to Montreal to do like a bar show. And then we're actually heading back to PEI to do like a music PEI showcase type of thing. And then heading to Halifax. And then
See, they're
Canada.
nailing you with they're making you pay twice.
I know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the last stop
Yeah.
Yeah.
is Shoebox. So we'll be a well-oiled machine
Oh
by the
yeah.
time we get there.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. And I hate to do this because I want all my Halifax friends to travel down to Glasgow and check out Shoebox. But what's the Halifax date?
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, there you go. My Shoebox friends will be happy. It doesn't matter. Everyone from Halifax should come down to Glasgow.
It'll be a sweet show though. It's at the place called Two Crows Brewing. And
Okay.
it's Crossed Wires released an EP.
Yeah.
And it's like their EP release show.
So
Oh,
29.
sweet. Sweet.
So it should
When
be
you're talking to the Crossed Wires people, I'm a fan. They've not been on the podcast.
Okay, I'll
I'd
send
be
them
more
your
than
way.
happy to have them on at some point.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you guys come down here, you'll have your album with you, I imagine, for physical copies for sale.
Yes.
For anyone that's listening to this podcast today that maybe doesn't have the opportunity to pay the toll to get off PEI and come join me in Glasgow, there's lots of dates for them to see, probably closer to their own hometowns. But online presence, where should I send people online if they want to check out more or buy the album?
To buy the album to our Bandcamp page, and it's playing anywhere you listen to music.
Awesome.
YouTube even.
And
Yeah.
for social medias, Instagram, the king here in this case?
Definitely.
Instagram, absolute underscore, losers underscore, Facebook. I don't, it's the same thing. I don't
Probably
know.
the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. Usually Instagram's the king here.
We're not really utilizing TikTok very much.
No, I made one TikTok, but
Yeah, we use TikTok a little bit for the podcast in mixed results, but when it falls by the wayside, I have to remind myself that I still have the account. So I mean, it's cool when I use it, but when I get away from it, I get away from it all. And same as Twitter being rebranded as X, we have an account, and if anybody writes us on Twitter, I will definitely respond, but I don't post on there very often. I don't know how long X is going to be around.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I think that world is pretty foreign. So.
Yeah. The last couple changes for Instagram and YouTube, which are probably the platforms I use the most for this stuff, I brush through them. They have new features, so you can do threads and shorts, and YouTube has a new one where you can use the YouTube music and carry it over into your short. So I don't know. I think it's great because long term, what I'm seeing in the background is there's algorithms that are running to figure out the dividends so you guys can get some money back for some of those royalties on some of those songs too. So
Yeah, true.
that's going to be the pennies that are going to pay for your retirement when those all add up eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got our SoCan check today. It was a whopper.
You're all ready to retire now then?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we might quit, honestly. Scrap this next album.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of it, but I've seen a couple of those checks. I'm sure you're not quitting today. The next check, but that'll be the deal breaker right there. So what do you guys have planned when you get back off of this tour that you have coming up? Is it take a break for the holidays? You're going to work on recording some of the new material, or is it wait and see what kind of reaction you get on the road before you make any concrete plans?
I haven't really thought about it.
No, we haven't really like discussed that, but
we never really have plans.
I feel like it'll just be like we usually do, which is like, well, we haven't done a tour like this big before, but we're probably gonna play the newer songs, get them like very rounded out, maybe write a little bit on the road as we did. Like Josh wrote a full song when we were touring with Tons that we're playing now, like played it for the first time the other day, and we'll just like try to write as much as we can after that. I think we have like besides a bunch of musical endeavors we're all three of us are doing outside of the band, we're all like we don't have too much going on for Absolute Losers, just some shows here and there, so it's going to be a lot of writing and a lot of just planning logistics and planning stuff for the next album.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Probably get home and just write some songs and jam. I think the focus will probably be on starting the next album. Like Excellent. Even if we're not like recording the next album, we'll be like, deciding what songs we're going to focus on for the next album. Maybe try to figure out who's going to record it.
Well, definitely looking forward to it. I'm excited that I'm getting another opportunity to see at Shoebox. Every time there's an artist that's traveling through that's playing down there. No knock on my local musician friends. I love them all, but they all know I've seen them a million times. So I love the bands traveling through, and Shoebox is probably the place that I do frequent the most out of any local venues. Yeah. So I was disappointed that I missed you guys before. I can't remember where I was. I think I was actually out of town. but I'm excited to see you guys coming back in town. And do you have anyone else on the bill with you that night, or TBD kind of night?
We do have someone on the bill. I'm blanking on the name, to be
Okay.
honest with you. There's a local rock band on the bill.
Oh, okay. Excited. Well, I'll definitely be sure that getting closer, because that's towards the end of September.
It is,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely be sure to plug that show up a little bit. And
Yeah.
actually, well, I'm gonna look it up as soon as I get off this call, and maybe I'll reach out to that other band and see if they want to come on and help promote that for you guys a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
September 30th, New Glasgow. That's what it is.
Perfect. So all of our Pecto County friends, you can go out there and probably buy advance tickets right now.
Yeah.
No, you save a few bucks if you buy them in advance. So it's always helpful for everybody these days. That it's great to be out there supporting the arts, but it's hard to free up a few extra dollars sometimes. So
I feel you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And now we are starting to get towards the end of the allotted time that we have for today. What song would you guys like to play out with from the album to give people a taste of Absolute Losers?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd say By Fright is probably the one
Okay.
that suits us the best.
I think it has the most plays on Spotify.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
By the book.
Yeah.
That's the name of album number 2. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. What's the thing you're saying lately? Rock, something about rock.
Rock and roll is a risk.
Rock and roll
Yeah,
is a
that
risk.
could
The
be
numbers
on
don't
there.
lie.
Yeah.
There you go. I like it. You guys have it sounds like song titles flying out there. So I'm sure there will be a new album out before too long.
Yeah,
Yeah, just titles though.
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
just going right now. I got the notes app.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So for all of our listeners out there, you're sitting still here and we'll listen to By Fright. And hopefully we'll hear more from Absolute Losers in the near future. And for anyone that's watching this on our YouTube channel, besides the chats and interviews that we've been putting out on our other platforms, our YouTube channel, if you scroll down, there's a playlist of live shot performances that I've been able to capture. And I'm scooting around catching some of these bands live. So keep an eye on that. Subscribe to our podcast and the YouTube channel so that you can get the extra bonus content. And keep an eye out near the end of September. I might have a chance to capture some of the performance from these gentlemen right here. So thanks for your time, guys. And hopefully we can talk again in the near future.
Yeah, would love to.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you.